World War III has already begun, claims Ukraine's security chief as conflict rages on. So you guys know my thoughts on this. I've been saying for a year that this is the start of World War III. Not too many people are going to take this gentleman's take on it because he's from UKR, but I think that this is something that is going to be said a whole lot more. Now, if you remember during World War II and World War I, they didn't actually think that it was World War II or World War I. It was after major events that some newspapers basically said it was that. But again, during that time, it was just a major conflict that everybody was participating in. There were certain huge headlines by, some of the big newspapers back then after Pearl Harbor and things like this. And essentially they were calling it that, but nobody ever declares World War. It's something where it basically is where all of these other countries are involved. And if you look at what is going on right now, that's exactly what it looks like. All of the countries of the world, us and every one of our allies, and then, of course, our adversaries and every one of their allies are all dividing, and they are actually creating alliances and dividing it straight down the middle. There used to be a few countries that were outliers and they were neutral. Well, they joined us in NATO. In fact, with the joining of a few countries to NATO, you basically have it cut down the middle. So this isn't good, and it's most definitely a setup for something way bigger that people just can't wrap their heads around. But of course, it says that head of Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council, Oleksiy Danilov, on Wednesday said that the World War III is already underway as the ongoing Russia-UKR conflict has dragged the other countries into conflict, speaking at the Kiev Security Forum on September 5th. Danilov said that the Western military alliance NATO would need UKR as a member amid the global turbulence, which is in its full momentum. I highly doubt that statement. I don't think we need UKR since we're basically hand-feeding them all of their weapons, but it says Kiev will strengthen the NATO further. Again, that is debatable. Said the head of UKR's National Security and Defense Council. It says, quote, if somebody thinks that World War III hasn't started, then it's a huge mistake. It has already begun. It had been underway in a hybrid period for some time now and has entered an active phase. Danilov stressed, speaking to the presence of the CIA Director, General David Petraeus. Now, of course, the CIA Director is there because you know that those guys are probably a part of everything that is going on this planet right now. So again, it is a declaration by somebody who not too many people are going to take, but I believe down the road we're going to see a whole lot more big names saying the exact same thing. And of course, we've been saying it here for however long. You guys got this way before all of these other people that watch mainstream media. You guys aren't going to be surprised when this is actually declared or when all of these other countries jump in and essentially everybody's going to be fighting. Most of you are not going to be surprised one bit because you've been watching this every single day for as long as it's been transpiring. So we're going to talk about this and much more. Tonight is a call-in show, so I'm really excited. Let me get your calls at 224-400-MARF. Give us a call. Make sure to press option 4. That number is scrolling down below. So if you do want to call in today, if you have information, if you have crazy stuff, a crazy video you caught of a crazy thing going on or a convoy, let me know. Go to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo, and we might be able to get it on today. So we'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. I actually, sorry about that. I delayed on pushing the stuff because somebody said that Heliofant took all of their stuff down. And I was like, Heliofant, that sounds really familiar. And I looked, and that's the iPet Go or iPet Goat thing. And yeah, there's nothing on their channel. That is absolutely wild. That's very, very weird. I'm sure people have that video backed up. If you haven't seen it, it had a lot of different weird, very symbolic things in there. The steeple falling down almost exactly matched the Notre Dame thing falling down. Like there was all sorts of weird events in that video that were eerily predictive, like art imitates reality kind of thing, or life imitates art. It was really, really weird. If you haven't seen it, it's like kind of 101 for this niche, so go watch it wherever you can find it. It had stuff about 2001 event. It had all of these weird imagery. It's hard to describe it. It was an animation, and a lot of folks think that it predicted things. All of a sudden, everything's gone. I wonder why. So yeah, Heliofant was a 3D animator that did the art, I believe. But anyways, just to get started, obviously, I know my audience, and a lot of folks are going to be like, but it's this guy saying it. Again, I think that this is going to be said a whole lot more. And you have to realize, too, anything that UKR says is part of this whatever plan is going on. Everything that they have said, rather than all of the other world countries, has actually come true because they're kind of putting out forward what they want to do, what they do. They put out plans for things, and they're basically whatever they ask for, they get. And of course, whatever they do is part of, a bigger plan. So I think that, very soon here, a lot more people are going to be understanding that this is not going away, that this isn't just going to go back to nothingness. This isn't going to reverse and everybody's going to be happy and business as usual. CV changed everything. The event in 2019 has changed the world, and it's not going back to normal, and things are permanently changed. And I'll show you that today. We're going to talk about President JB ending, I believe, the last 7 oil contracts with Alaska. This is all adding up to be a really, really bad year. We're going to see huge jumps in gas prices. And that caller that said that we were soon going to have $7 gas in Indiana when right now they're at like $3.50, they may be right. They may be absolutely right. Because there's even more things adding on top of the Saudi Arabia deals, the OPEC stuff, all of that, not to mention the limits, all of that. There is even more coming. So it's going to affect us in the long term. But before we start, remember, you can always go over to marfooglenews.com. You can find today's thumbnail. And when you click on today's thumbnail, you'll see a full bibliography for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document that we're going to show you here today, and a source for it. So that way you have it at your fingertips, and it's all archived under each show. So you can go up to that search bar, you can actually type in headlines, and you can find a show that we covered it. There's all sorts of great stuff over here, so make sure to go check it out after the show. And then also make sure to drop an M in the chat right now for all of the wonderful mods that are making it today. Again, we've had really good turnout. A lot of our old school mods have been showing up, and these guys are awesome people. Make sure to go subscribe to them over on marfooglenews.com /friends. And then let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So before we open up the phones, because we're going to open up the phones here in 2 seconds, I want to go over this first piece. It's already begun. This is something we've been saying for a long time, and people are going, oh, yeah, so the UKR guy says it, and this is something that I guarantee, I believe, mark my words, that we are going to have this, and I don't want it. It's not something I want to happen. And I sure as heck hope that I'm being corrected in 3 years from now saying, oh, nothing happened. But I just don't think that that's going to be the thing that happens here. And I don't think World War III is the end of the world. I think it's the start of a new one that we're not going to like. And I think that it's going to restructure everything. And they're already in the process of doing all of the financial back end to a full restructure of our entire planet. Dex, what do you think about this?
Well, I guess it's at the end of the day, it's just a term, and everybody has their version of calling, what some would call a great conflict, or a multi-location global conflict. And it's just it's just a term. It hasn't even been an official designation of any conflict as of yet. So that doesn't dismiss the fact that so many people have sort of suggested we're here. They've suggested it over cyber events. They've suggested it over espionage events. They've suggested it over building of islands, and taking and grabbing land, or like Russia did, taking territory from other countries and claiming it as theirs. So all of these actions that are happening certainly don't speak for peace on Earth. If anything, it shows there's a lot of conflict and destabilization that's going on. So, in my opinion, I certainly think if we're not actually there, then the door is pretty much opening. But I almost feel like we're there. They don't want to admit it yet.
And so again, there's some great comments in the chat already. Somebody says, "Wow, what gave it away?" Well, that's the thing. So many people are in the dark about this. So many people are kind of trained to think the opposite way, and maybe you could partially call it sort of an optimism, right? It's not bad to say, "Hey, everything's going to be all good." I actually don't blame people that do that. I tell people that if this kind of stuff stresses you out, don't watch it. This is something that if I wasn't doing this channel, this is what I would be involved in with anyways. In fact, I was for years before this. I wanted to know all of this stuff. I didn't want to be surprised by any of it. And I didn't care that I was the one who got to judge the information. That's how it should be. We should have access to all information. Doesn't matter if somebody's saying that somebody is a 8-foot lizard or something else. I would rather hear that information and judge it for myself rather than somebody else tell me what's right and what's wrong. We're all adults here. We've been around the planet enough times, or on the planet enough times, that we know kind of what's going on here. And there's all of us have some sort of ignorance kind of blind spot that we have. We all have our biases, and we all have the capability to make huge mistakes. But as far as what's going on right now, all of this stuff that's happening, it's very, very clear that it's going in a south direction very, very fast, and it speeds up. And you have to look at all of the incremental changes that they're making. And when you look down the road, you can only see one thing. Things are going to be changed completely from where we are even today. Heck, if you look back 5 years ago, first they have to do cultural changes to get a lot of these things to work. And they've already done it at breakneck speeds. They're literally taking morals and values, and they're basically taking them out with a scalpel and just cutting them out of everywhere. Now people are just doing things that nobody would ever think would happen 10 years ago. Dex, go ahead.
And I just wanted to give a little quick history lesson for the fun of the demarcation of the name. Back in 41, Roosevelt called what we call today as WW2. He called it the Second World War, but he also didn't like the name, and he actually had in 1942 put out a submission for the public to come up with new names. And his version was the Survival War, and there was a lot of others that were submitted, and ultimately they didn't like any of them. They got like 1,500 submissions. And then on September 10th, 1945, the Secretary of War, Henry L. Steinman, asked him to officially sign off, and that's how we got the designation of World War II. That's the official name, and it was from 1945.
And when that would be considered at the very end of it, right?
Correct, at the end.
Yeah. So they didn't really call it World War II until the very end of it. Think about that. What we're in right now and all of the events, what else, if you zoomed out of our planet or off of the table we're on, whatever, however you want to believe it, if you looked at what's happening right now, if you looked at every country and how they are splitting and they are dividing, and they're all in these intermingled kind of heated beefs. If you've got Australia and China, you've got Israel and Iran, you've got North Korea and South Korea, you've got all these different parties, South Africa joining in, you've got all of these different things going on all at the same time, and they're all splitting. It's like splitting the water. You can see them all going on their side. They're all meeting. They're all doing these things. They're all monitoring. They're all practicing. They're all spying. This is, again, and they're spying all the time, but this is a different kind of spying. They're monitoring movements. You have Chinese tourists going to military bases. What does that sound like? It sounds a whole lot like the Japanese tourists that monitored our ships at Pearl Harbor. I mean, like, these things all add up. And if you cover them every day, or if you only saw one day of the coverage of really picking out the stuff that they're actually showing us, they're putting it out in the front. If you pick out one day and watch it, you might go, oh, okay, whatever. But if you watch the show every day and see everything that we're seeing here, it's really hard to deny that something massive is coming. And it may all be a circus. It may be them high-fiving behind closed doors, but that doesn't change how they are going to make it appear to us. And that's not going to change how it's going to change our lives. They have power over us. They have power to restrict travel because of an event that they could have manufactured. They could make an event and then change the rules behind it. It's kind of like rules and laws and all of these things that have been in place and constitutions. We thought, oh, these things are untouchable, that they can't mess with that. They can, and they're doing it. And all they need to do is go, okay, well, so wait, there's only like one way we can change the Constitution, or only one or two ways? Okay, and then let's do that. And then it happens. And then they change the rules around it. So these things are all happening right now, and people really need to start, sharing this out, growing brave, because honestly, people are afraid to speak up about this, and or they're worried about their friends judging them. I have many friends that are kind of in their own world, and I've told them before, but when I did, it's like they treated you differently. Like, oh, that's doom and gloom Eeyore over there. Now, when I go there, I don't talk about politics. I don't talk about any of that kind of stuff, because you could see it when you tell some people. It's like they're rolling their eyes in their head, but they also don't follow it every day. They don't follow this that closely. And you could say, I'm sure all of you guys have done this, where you have a friend or family member where you're trying to convince something, and you go, hey, you got to check out all these links. They never actually check out all the links. If you showed them, and if they were willing to sit down for 10 minutes and actually look at everything you wanted to show them, I guarantee you, they might actually go, okay, maybe you have a point here. But they won't. And that's what most people are doing right now. They'll only get little snips and glimpses of it, or they'll go to mainstream for their take, or they will literally take somebody's op-ed, and somebody who is probably paid for, they'll have a very intelligent sounding response to what's going on, and they will just copy and paste that. I've seen so many people's copy and pasted opinions, like it's their own opinion, but yet it's directly from a Rolling Stone article, or it's directly from this. I've even seen people have arguments and debate on things that they had known nothing about, but they literally just read in an op-ed or something from, the New York Times or Rolling Stone, and they're arguing on it like they know it absolutely front and backwards, like they graduated from Harvard on it. They don't. And that's what we're being trained to do, is just to listen to the smart sounding person and follow that. I'm not the smartest person in the world. That's why I say you guys need to be the judge of the information. Don't believe anything. Take everything with a grain of salt and go with your gut, because most of the time your gut is right. And we are getting eerily close. Like, some days it feels like this is like I feel like we can smell go time. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Neil Nelson, thank you. Fight for Our Freedom Radio. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. And let's see here. Ilea says, I wish I could collectively manifest world peace rather than world war. Much love to Foogle fam. I think there's a lot of people that agree with you, Ilea. And then Mike Osra, thank you for subscribing. Daniel Belkish, thank you for subscribing. Steel Hauling DC says, stay calm and prepare, everyone. Keep God, family, and friends close. Thank you, everyone here, for being awesome and forward, rational thinkers. That's the thing. We just all have to be we can't be sideswiped by this stuff. You can't be surprised when all of this goes down. And if you're not, you're going to be 50,000 times better off than anybody that isn't. And maybe you'll have fun through it. I guarantee you, even if it gets really bad, even if you were sitting with power off, if you're still alive, you're still going to be having a good time. I guarantee it. There's going to be people that are in certain situations. We're so we take everything for granted, but it's like we're alive and we're breathing. Even if all the power and technology goes tomorrow, we will still be human beings. We will still have that. So there's not much to worry about. And if you perish, then I guess that's like a personal thing. If you're worried about dying, when that's at the root cause of everybody's fear of this happening, well, get right with your maker because you won't fear dying. And then Pacific Coast, thank you. I appreciate that for subscribing. Mimi Carstel. And then Carol, thank you for starting the show off with a super chat. Thank you. And then Dottie, thank you for your support as well. All right, we're going to be opening up the phones. You can give us a call at 224-400-MARF. If you're new here, pop into chat, say hello. And, of course, if you see somebody new, make sure they feel welcome. Very, very, very cool people in this chat. There's a lot of folks. Again, it's encouraged that you don't push anybody else down. Don't talk trash about other creators in my chat. And then also feel like this is, kind of a space where you can come and chill and not be stressed out about all of the other stuff. And please try to understand that not everybody's going to have your exact same opinion about things. They might believe totally different things. We can do that as long as we try not to argue about it. Agree to disagree. All right, the number to call is 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-00-MARF, and that's actually scrolling right down below. MARF stands for 6273, so 2244-00-6273. All right, let's get this thing started. So, massive explosion near Putin's War Command headquarters as kamikaze drones blast Russian city with state of emergency declared. So, pretty big deal. It says a giant fireball erupted close to Vladimir Putin's War Command headquarters after kamikaze drones blasted a Russian city. It says a state of emergency was declared. The drones triggered a massive explosion, sparking a huge fire near the military headquarters, which the dictator, and they just literally say dictator, is reported have visited several times during the war. Huge plumes of smoke could be seen filling the air above the city following the overnight blast. Now, if you're new here, the reason I point out that it says dictator is because, in my opinion, news should be as unbiased as possible. When you put labels like that into a factual document, you're essentially telling the reader this is a dictator. I'm sure you could ask some Russians about that. There's probably some miscommunications there. I think Vlad's a bad guy, but I also know that both sides have Ganda, and both sides start the premises like this. Every article has something, and it can be about T-Man. They say, drunk with power T-Man or pervert T-Man, blah, blah, blah. They'll put that in there in the very first part of the article to shape how you view someone. And they do it in a horrible way to creators. They do it to YouTubers. They do it to everybody. And that's one thing I don't like. Why didn't you just say the president of Russia or the president of the United States? They do it to JB. They do it to everybody. I would prefer if it was a factual document, trying to tell us news, that it be as unbiased as possible and not shape my view of somebody if they're telling us a fact, say, about something blowing up. They should tell me about something blowing up rather than telling me what kind of person everybody is. And it goes on all sides. We see it on every person out there. That's what media has become. It didn't used to be that way. Words are very powerful, and if you are a true writer, that would be more something you would put in a novel, to declare that. But three buildings and several cars were damaged in the attack, according to Rostov Region Governor Vasily Goblev. Around 20 blocks of flats on Pushkinskaya Street were left without electricity. Reports said dozens of residents were given hot food and offered to leave their homes. This says the War Command bunker is at the HQ of Russia's Southern Military District in Rostov-on-Don. In June, slain Wagner warlord Yevgeny Prigozhin began his attempted coup, which they just say it's an attempted coup without saying possible attempted coup or possible circus of fake show or something else against Putin's regime at the site, later staging a march towards Moscow. Russian officials claimed a drone targeting the city center had been shot down. So the more that we see things blowing up in Russia, the worse that it is for some sort of really bad escalation. You hit the wrong target, and then all of a sudden things get a little bit hotter. As far as, because you have to realize the U.S. is essentially, the U.S. and NATO are completely involved in this war. All the previous kind of proxy wars were always like us supporting somebody, and then that somebody fighting somebody, and then that somebody was supported by our other main adversary. Russia was supporting these people, and we were supporting these people, and it was a war by proxy. But now we are fighting directly. We are giving the infrastructure for them to take the lives of our main adversary, or one of our two really, really big and main adversaries. So this is not a good thing. In fact, 6-8 months ago, people would have been shouting at the rooftops, like saying they're, freaked out because nobody even supported them going past the border and doing anything to Russia. They shaped it to us like, oh, this is defense for their country and that's it. Now they're hitting deep into Russia. I mean, what's next? Are they going to invade Russia? It's kind of crazy to think about, but it seems like incrementally that's what's it looking like. And that Elon Musk blocked Ukraine's access to Starlink near Crimea after speaking with Russian officials, biographer says. So at first, I didn't actually know that there was an involvement, like where you actually talked to Russian officials. But I do have, Dex, did I get you that tweet there, the exchange? Oh, okay, we do have it. So check this out. This was the exchange between Elon Musk and everybody else. And actually, you have to kind of go up. Mari Newfall tweets, Elon prevents nuclear war. Elon Musk covertly instructed his engineers to deactivate Starlink's satellite communications network during a major UKR offensive. This action was taken to intentionally thwart the surprise attack by UKR against the Russian naval fleet. It said that the UKR submarine drones armed with explosives mysteriously lost connectivity as they advanced towards the Russian warships. Now we know that Musk intentionally deactivated Starlink, which I'll show you the reaction in a second, but it says UKR officials pleaded with the reactivation of the satellites. However, Musk was concerned the attack could trigger a nuclear response from Russia. This fear was not baseless, as Musk had open discussions with high-ranking Russian officials not long before the attack. It says, quote, I've posted heavily about the dangerous rhetoric from Russia relating a possible nuclear attack on UKR, with Crimea being considered a red line. No matter which side of the conflict you're on, we all want to avoid a nuclear threat. Now, it says, do you think Elon did the right thing? Well, he actually responded personally. It said the Starlink regions in questions were not activated. SpaceX did not deactivate anything. So what he's saying is that they were never activated in the first place. I don't know if this is true, but this is his clapback. And Mario Newfall, which I believe I've actually, as long as I've seen this Mario Newfall guy, who is like the biggest space host on Twitter, I've considered him as somebody who's kind of friends with Elon or something. Like he had him kind of under his umbrella of people that he validated, kind of. But this says the source was CNN referencing Walter Isaacson biography. Again, this is something from the biography that came out talking about at the very beginning. And again, I think this is when that one ship was taken out. But either way, this all just came out and said, thank you for clarifying the facts, and glad to see Starlink was not activated in such a contentious territory. And I believe, wait a second, there was one more response from him as well. Yeah, maybe it was, yes. It says there was an emergency request from government authorities to activate Starlink all the way to Sevastopol. The obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed to their request, then SpaceX would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and conflict escalation. Now, whatever they were doing, by what it makes it sound like, is they could have taken out a part of a huge chunk of the Russian Navy if Elon would have helped them. So this doesn't make Elon look great. At the same time, it also makes him look like, hey, it's his company. He doesn't have to let them use it for wartime uses. And again, a lot of people are really split on this. I don't know. I think that it's kind of messed up that the whole thing with Starlink being used for them, and they weren't even like paying him, and they were demanding more and more. And as far as UKR goes, it's like a lot of folks don't believe that we should even be involved in this whole thing. And a lot of people believe that we are involved in it is because there's a lot of money being shifted through hands and things over there. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Or give me a call at 224-400-MARF. Again, that's 224-400-MARF. Tammy Vasquez, thank you for this super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Neil Nelson, thank you for hitting 3 months on the badge. Says, Adam, I bought around 8,000 of energy products and doesn't say the rest, though. Well, that's really great. Thank you, Neil Nelson. I appreciate that. And you'll have to let me know what you got. Sounds like you probably got the tactical, right? And some panels. Ilea, thank you. And then Dan, thank you for subscribing. Bill, thank you for subscribing. K. Parker Fraser, thank you for subscribing. Or I'm sorry, not Parker Fraser. K. Billingtons, thank you for subscribing. And then this is the next crazy big thing. So Alaska, over the last few weeks, and we kind of covered the first couple that were canceled. And what we mean by Alaska canceled is they are actually canceling a lot of these drilling projects. So let's see here. Let me see. I think I have these out of order. Yeah. So I don't want to play that here. Hold on. Essentially, the JB just canceled the remaining, and I think it was the remaining 7. Let's see here. The remaining 7 leases in Alaska. Now, there's going to be people that have both sides. I actually grabbed tweets from both sides of this. It says, breaking in a huge win for the environment and the movement, President Biden announced that he will prohibit drilling in 13 million acres of pristine wilderness in the National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska and cancel all Trump-era drilling leases in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Now, when it's worded like that, you go, well, yeah, you don't want it in a national wildlife refuge. It says it's hard to argue this point that JB isn't the most environmentally friendly president in our nation's history, and that's a good thing in my book. I like how they did the AI photo of him sitting in the wilderness. So let me see if they have some of the replies to this. Let me see here. The replies are great. So first of all, and then Alaska Governor Don Levy says, JB knowingly and willingly breaking the law by canceling oil gas leases because there is a law that was put into place around this. And they're saying that maybe he didn't, or that that they're going to follow the law. Let's see here. Let's see. There was one more tweet and I don't think it loaded. Hold on here. Let me see. Maybe it was there, but I deleted it. Whoops. All right, hold on here. And let's see. Maybe it was the responses to this one. So essentially, this is, and they say, some of them say it's the last remaining things here. Now they're going to be drilling for batteries. So they're going to do the same thing in Alaska, only it's going to be for batteries, which somebody else said. And then they actually posted articles and documents saying that they're planning on doing basically 3 times the amount of drilling for different things, and that it is just as harmful. So it's kind of stupid because you are substituting one thing for the other. Also, what this is going to directly do or indirectly do to the gas prices, to everything else, this may actually take a little bit longer to feel the effects of, but essentially all in the same month. All of these events are happening that are going to just crazy boost the prices of gas, and even can have a temporary bump just because of what's going on right now. Those cancels, which over the last couple of weeks, they've canceled a ton of them left and right, that in itself will affect the gas market. it makes you wonder. They basically want to get away from it completely. Now, the petrodollar, which is literally called the petrodollar, is based on petrol. And some of the only ways that we are actually getting it on our own, they are canceling those left and right. Meanwhile, other countries are not going to do that. And other countries are going to keep running. And we're going to switch to all electric and to all of this and all that. But in the process, we're basically changing our entire structure. How, if the world is running and the US is number one and they're all running underneath us, how are we going to run on a petrodollar when we're not going to be using petrol? They have to restructure the entire world. And I don't think it's because they care about the environment. I think it's because there's other ways and better ways to track, trace, and to monitor people. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? Give me a call at 2244-00-MARF. Again, that's 2244-00-MARF. All right. And then let's see here. Remember, thank you, Neil Nelson. Thank you for gifting 10 memberships. I appreciate that, Neil. And thank you. Chance is actually going to be on the line here. We've got Chance Paladin and going to be talking about, I hope you talk about the Liberty Safe thing. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Before we do, I want to remind you guys, if you want to protect your vehicles, your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, and anything else that runs that you want to keep running after multiple EMP strikes or even a CME or a Carrington level event from the sun, then you would want to get an EMP shield on it. This is really easy to wire in. You can put in your car in less than 10 minutes. You wire the red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and then green to ground or a piece of your frame. And that's all it takes to get your car to the point where it's going to be protected. Now, imagine, again, you're not going to need this until you need this. And when you do, it's going to be a pretty awesome investment. And it's really like one of those things where it's a one and done. Once you put it on your car's good. Once you put it on your house is good. So that is really awesome. There's no fees. It's a machine that does a purpose. And once it's on there, it's on there. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF because you will get $50 off per device. And again, that stacks on top of any sale that they are doing. Again, you can actually protect your generators, your solar generators. In the case of the Flex 1500 from Energy, you can go and protect your solar system. You can protect your ham radio. You can protect your RVs, your boats, whatever else you got. And you can even protect your house. It's wired into your house. Once you get an electrician to put it in, it protects everything within 250 linear feet that is plugged into the wall. So that is that's actually farther away than most houses are. That's an average house size, and everything plugged in within range will be protected. It will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device. That's marfoogle.com/EMP. Thank you guys. It supports us. We are independent and we're on our own. Thank you. All right, let's get Chance on the phone. Chance, you are live on Marfoogle News.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Chance? So after we talked briefly the other day, I was looking at all the Liberty Safe stuff, and I was just kind of blown away. So basically, you think you have your weapons safe in this fancy, super, super duper expensive safe, but then the feds, if somebody says something about you or somebody makes a claim, the feds can just come in and take it, and Liberty Safe will give them the code for it, which is pretty absurd. But what else did you want to talk about here today too?
Yes, that's the first thing I want to talk about, and we'll go over that real quick. I think there's with the Liberty Safe situation, there's been more coming out, and there was no way to vote out of getting your code out of their database or opt out, and they actually made a way to opt out due to the backlash. And I think they basically admitted that there wasn't actually even a direct subpoena to do it. And they have a lot of egg on their face because firefighters had to rescue a girl from a gun safe back in July. And like, where were they to give the codes out? for that.
Wait,
So,
what do you mean firefighters had to do
yeah.
something? What did they have to do? How did that play out?
A girl got stuck in a safe, in a Liberty safe in North Carolina sporting goods store a couple months ago.
Oh, that's
And
terrifying.
so they were like, where were you to give the codes out then? Right?
Holy
And
crap.
so,
And they didn't give the codes?
I mean, that's the implication if firefighters had to go cut them out. You'd think that'd be the first thing they would do.
Oh,
Just call Liberty Safe and say, hey.
That's terrifying. So and
Yeah.
by the way, how do the Liberty safes are all digital, right? I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna look-
Yeah.
So that means what is it? Wi-Fi? So you can. This is the problem. Everybody wants the smart everything, and they
Smart
want to be able
safe.
to unlock
Yeah.
things from work and things. But that means there's a back door into all your stuff. What's wrong with just an old school combination lock to lock your stuff up? Like, I don't get why people need digital this and be able to open their safe from a phone or something. Like, what's the deal with that?
And it's if you don't open your safe for a while and you have one of those, you don't realize that like the 9-volt's dead because they don't last that long. You're not getting your safe open anyway. You gotta basically rip the pad off, put a new 9-volt on, put the pad back on, and hope it works. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen.
Well, I think
they actually have two codes. They have the code they give you, and then the code that they keep in case they ever have to get in.
Oh, you're kidding! So
There's supposed to be a verification process, but obviously
there's no option to have. This is why people should go with a brand that's old school. Go ahead.
Right. There was no way to opt out, and they just made a way to opt out within the last day. And they said from now on, all new customers are going to be able to opt out when they buy them if they want to.
Yeah, well, it was going to end their company if they didn't. Because think about it, who wants a safe that can just be popped open by somebody remotely? Can be like, oh yeah, the code's this, and just get right into it. Dex wanted to pop in. Dex, go ahead.
Hey, I was just going to say, this is not exclusive to them. They're in the limelight because of the news, but a lot of safe manufacturers store their codes. They maintain a database of the serial number and the code to unlock that safe. And if they're subpoenaed or asked for it, we don't know what the policies are of those safe companies, but that's definitely something you might want to check into and see if they even have the ability to remove that if you don't want it. This is not an internet thing. These aren't necessarily internet connected safes. That's not the issue. It's just literally the code to open it, whether it's an old fashioned turn dial or a battery operated digital panel that you can type in 6 digits. The manufacturer has your safe code and they store it. Most of them store it. And if they know the serial number, they can align those numbers up and give that code to the authorities, presumably a bad guy, if they get access to that database, and they would have it.
So why isn't it where just like a bike lock, you buy it new, it comes with 000, and then you can pull off the things and set your own code? Why? I mean, I guess this is digital, but isn't there analog safes where you can change the code to something else so nobody has a backup code, or are they all like this?
A lot of the newer ones are like this. Or they have both in some cases.
Why would you want anything to be digital like this? Like, this is old school. Like, I would think safes would be the one thing to not do this. I get now they have fingerprint scanners and things like that, but why? Why do we need all that? Just unless you have like the Ocean's 11 people trying to get into your stuff, then you don't have to worry about it. It's some dummy that came from the trailer park down the street to steal your gun. He's not going to get through some regular safe, right? And he's not, I don't know. I've seen a ton of videos of idiots, pulling up with their pickup truck and trying to tow an ATM machine out of the store or something. But most of the time they're unsuccessful with just a regular good old safe. But yeah. So Another thing, Chance, is you actually have you have a new book coming out, or is it already out?
I have Ghost Company 2 coming out soon, but my most recent book was Bunker Codes.
So if you guys didn't know, Chance Paladin actually has he has a full selection of books that he has wrote and sells on Amazon. He has been one of our mods for a very long time. He holds D Live down and has for a very long time. So if you guys can, make sure to go check this out. There is. Can you explain what this big BaseCon book sale is?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So there's a gentleman named Hans that a couple times a year he groups up with tons of like-minded authors, and they either set their Kindle books for free or 99 cents. And then the idea is that everybody shares it out and kind of everybody benefits. And the most recent ones starting now, there's hundreds of books on there. It's pretty exciting. What I do is I save up my Kindle credits, from telling Amazon that they don't have to ship things right away. And then I use them to go buy all the books on there.
So
Pretty fun.
And it basically says, it says, bypass the cultural gatekeeping, support non-woke authors, and get yourself some great books, both from established and emerging talent for only 99 cents, many titles free. So if you guys can, especially those of you on a budget, this is a great way to support new creators, new authors, and even established authors, and to be able to support events like this. This is something that I thought, right when I heard about, was really, really cool. We talked about it a couple weeks ago on the show. I think this is really great because not only Chance is on there, but there's tons of other great authors that are trying to get off the ground, and they have tons of really, really great books, and you can't really beat the price. Free or $1 to try to get the word out there. That's something pretty honorable and really cool. So make sure to go check that out. There's a bunch of really cool books that I have actually been suggested before. So if you actually go and look at the list, you'll recognize a bunch of them. So make sure to go check out this. We're going to put this link on the website as well. And we're going to link so you can get to this book event. Chance, is there anything else you wanted to touch on though? You're kind of you're a serious researcher. You research pretty much everything.
Well, I'll try to use the code words. The one of the companies that makes the things that goes in your arm sometimes. I found it interesting that they all of a sudden have the new combination ready that they need for the new variant that just came out. And then I was reading more about it, and I saw this really weird thing. What was it? It said this news article is talking about how they have like lab grown variants that they test with. But yeah. I've never seen them actually admit his team tested lab-made versions in people who were V'd or previously.
Well, that's what the whole.
I didn't know they had.
Do you remember Mr. O'Keefe when he finally got?
Yeah.
Right, but a couple weeks before they ousted him because he was, he was irresponsible and spending money. Just so funny that within weeks of putting out that piece. But that's exactly what that last video was talking about, was they were creating things to test these things on, and that's within weeks. So, yeah, that one's a touchy one. They're basically wiping people out right now.
And this was Reuters. It was Reuters that said it. So it's like it doesn't get any more official than that if they're the ones saying it right in their articles. So.
Yep, exactly.
For them to openly admit it, that's kind of like, well, the cat's out of the bag now, I guess.
Yeah, but they don't care. I don't think they care if people know.
No, they don't.
Because they can just put a spin on it and go, oh,
No.
yeah, sure, they're loopy. And then the drones just go, yeah, let's say that's crazy. I think people enjoy like getting on
Well,
this
you know
thing
what?
about just talking trash about the other side. It's just like now it's a cultural thing to be like, I'm on this side, you're on that side. It's literally, they say, oh, this side's a cult, that side's a cult. Both sides are the same way, because guess what? They're both like, oh, well, I don't deal with that side, and I deal. It's like street gangs. Like, I'm the Sharks, you're the Jets. We don't talk to you, foo. I don't get it. You know what I
Time for
mean?
a dance off.
Dance off.
Well, I think it's funny too, because it's time for a dance off. It's probably a third party, right? Imagine if they're doing this, they're just sitting on their computer. Oh, the new variant. Doop doop tap 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 tap. Oh, cool. I just copied the variant. Tap 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 tap. Okay, we just came out with the quarterly deal that goes in the arm. Tap 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 tap. Okay, ship, and it starts printing on a print light in a medicine printer. Like, I don't know how this stuff works.
I think
but
it
you just
came out.
imagine-
I think it came out. It was supposed to be incremental, but then AJ put the stuff out on the internet, and then all of a sudden, within 5 hours, like
Yeah.
they had to. They were like, they had 2 weeks of stuff that they were gonna put out like one day every day, and they just put it out all the same day. They're like, ah, crap, just release it all. He blew it. Just boom,
Yep.
because it was the plan. They're like, the He Is Right cup is filling up. Dang it. We got to put all of it out now and say that because they didn't want him to be able to get it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month in advance. They wanted to be like, oh, he probably heard it that same day and then twisted it. You know what I mean? You go, oh, it came out the same day. It was 5
Yeah.
hours after that they released like 50 different, and there were so many different media companies that all of a sudden released something about it. And it's like, it was a bombardment when we haven't heard a single thing about it for years now, like 2 years. And then boom, it's back with a vengeance. So
Well, and
be prepped.
when they do that, it makes searching for it impossible. And I think they know that. Like, you could blow an article out of the water, but it doesn't matter because in 2 hours they can copy paste and nuke it, and search won't find it, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then it just discredits. That's why they have those apps now that you can try to trace back to see what the original article actually was, because the copy paste AIs that just like bot post every single news article.
Well, so again, Chance, I hope that the book project goes well. And again, you need to not be a stranger. And if everybody wants to go over and check out one of their books, then please do. And please go support Chance, especially. He's got the bunker codes and all sorts of other books on there. And then what's the new book? What is the new book called that's not out? That is coming out?
Oh, it's called
The Ghost?
Sure, it's called Ghost Company 2. It's the sequel to the first one, the military spinoff. And basically, military squad gets dropped off on the East Coast, and they have to work their way up north and do a special secret mission that normal folks can't do.
And he also does like research if he's talking about certain subjects, or if it's in a fictional book, he'll do the real research to try to make it accurate. And then he does kind of I guess apocalyptic kind of fictional stories with real places and real. My wife actually read, I believe it was your first book. She really liked it, about the Northwest and the just the events happening and the kind of the end of the world stuff going down. Well, Chance, thank you so much for calling in, and I appreciate you. And don't be a stranger, okay?
Thank you. You're very kind. I hope you have a great rest of the night and a great show.
All right. Well, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for holding down D Live and keeping that family alive. And everybody, make sure to drop Chance in the chat. All right. Thank you, Chance. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you later. That was Chance Paladin. All of the information is over on the website, and you can go and check that out after the show. And then China says 90 countries have confirmed attendance for the Belt and Road Initiative. Remember to give us a call at 2244-00-MARF. That's again 2244-00-6273. If you want to call in, and then press option 4. By the way, thank you, Nana MT. Says, hi, all. My little dog has been real sick. That is why I haven't been on. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose her. My prayers and love to all. Nana, I'm so sorry about that. And then Ilea just lost her Stella, very, very sweet dog. Again, it's really, really, really rough when it's a part of your family like that. Nana, I'm so sorry. I'm praying for you to get full recovery for that little pup. And Nana, don't worry about like not. You don't have to pop in. You don't have to pop in to You also don't have to you don't have to super chat and feel bad if you can't make it. Whatever else, just pop in and say hi or whatever. I'm really, really appreciate you just coming and being at every show. Thank you. Tammy Vasquez, thank you. Wages World, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Sorry, haven't been active much. Foogle fam rocks. Wages is also an awesome creator. He's about to hit 60,000 subscribers on YouTube. He covers all the solar events. Wages is such a good guy. He cares about everybody else. It's probably because you're helping everybody else do their stuff. But you need to take care of yourself, Wages. All right. As far as this goes, the Belt and Road, this is going to basically creep up on everybody because people aren't going to realize like this is a way bigger deal than people thought. First of all, they go into these countries, they do the Belt and Road Initiative. They say, hey, we'll give you this infrastructure, we'll fix all this. And then they go, but you need to pay us back with interest. And they make it to the point where it's like, it's something that they can never pay back. Then when they don't pay them back, they default on the loan. Then China can basically go, okay, well, give us this land, give us this, or we control this. And then they all of a sudden have a base somewhere. I think that the overall goal is they're trying to match the U.S. in world bases because that permeates power. I think eventually this is going to be where you have all of a sudden in 90 countries, by the way, say 20 of them have overseas bases that they set up due to the Belt and Road Initiative, countries defaulting. So it says China said on Thursday that 90 countries have confirmed attendance for its Belt and Road Initiative conference being held in October. How are they even doing this? How are they going to pay for all of this other stuff when they're supposedly, collapsing in on themselves? It says the third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, the BRF, will be held in Beijing in October, the Foreign Ministry have previously said, with 2023 marking the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, I did kind of a side piece on this as far as like Belt and Road Initiative comes from like the yellow road. I always mess that up. Essentially what Genghis Khan did, and he made the not the yellow brick road. Dang it. Dex, do you remember what is the Genghis Khan the paths that he made? Go. Let's see here. Genghis Khan. Yellow Belt Road? Why am my brain is going. Every year you grow older, you just start losing information. It kind of just falls out. Silk Road. Gosh. So the Belt and Road Initiative, it's like, I swear, Xi is studying what Genghis Khan did back all the way, in the 1200s or 1100s or something? What I forget what time period it was, but yeah, 1209. There are so many similarities of how he does things. And again, he's also studied Sun Tzu, Art of War. He has quoted it multiple times, but he has also said things about Khan. Now, Xi's father was actually treated like crap by Mao Zedong. And Mao Zedong actually had a big part in taking down all of the Genghis Khan related positive things. He didn't want people worshiping Genghis Khan. A lot of people looked up to Genghis Khan. If you actually look into the history of that, Genghis Khan actually let people have freedom of religion. There was some positives there too. If you did what he said. If you did what he said, you had some freedoms. You had freedom of religion. You had other things. They had food. They had one of the first kind of really good supply lines. They would set these belts and roads up. But it's how Genghis Khan would take over countries that alarms me. Genghis Khan would go and he would send spies in and people to essentially start rumors and to sow discord in the communities and in the tribes. And then they were fighting with themselves. They would literally get them to be fighting with each other, shooting bows and arrows and attacking people with swords. And then Genghis Khan would come in with an army and just trample their tribe. It was divide and conquer. Divide and conquer you hear all the time, but it actually comes from, way back in the day when it was an actual thing. They would divide people and they would conquer people. We're talking about real conquering, like you do what we say or you die kind of stuff. That is what we're talking about. And they would send spies in and they would learn everything about it. Genghis Khan would learn they would have their people learn the languages of the places they were taking over. Genghis Khan to this day still was the only leader that took over. He took over more world than anybody else, I believe. I still believe he holds the record. So you're talking about somebody who is taking over everything and anything. Xi has studied that. And remember, you go, oh, well, China doesn't like Genghis Khan. Mao Zedong doesn't. Well, Mao Zedong treated Xi's dad like crap. So I believe Xi doesn't like Mao Zedong. It's kind of like the kid that rebels. He goes the opposite way. A lot of folks actually look at Genghis Khan as kind of like this hero, kind of like a Che kind of hero, right? It's kind of, I forget what they call the evil hero, but that kind of thing. But the Belt Road and all of these things, this is part of a domination tactic. I'm telling you, this is world domination in modern days. It's absolutely nuts. All right. And then, but yeah, it's crazy. It says several foreign leaders are expected to attend, including Serbian president, Argentine president, and it says Russian President Vladimir Putin also scheduled a visit in China in October when the country hosts the One Belt, One Road Forum. And probably One World, right? And it says Putin's aide Yuri Ushakov said recently, according to Russia's state news agency TASS. It says we have received an invitation and plan to go to China. China's foreign ministry said that the country has signed Belt and Road cooperation documents with more than 150 countries and over 30 international organizations, according to Xinhua. Over the past decade, Belt and Road cooperation achieved fruitful outcomes, Chinese foreign ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin recently said. And it says, adding that it has been established at more than 3,000 cooperation projects and galvanized nearly $1 trillion of investment. Critics see the ambitious Belt and Road Initiative billed as recreating the ancient Silk Road to boost global trade. By the way, it was literally Genghis Khan tactics in modern day. And now a lot of people are connecting the dots there. Just so you know, I know that they always said that it was that, but it's crazy. It says, as a tool for President Xi Jinping's China to spread its geopolitical and economic influence. It is literally a world domination tactic. And it's really easy to see. And this is why history is important. If you know history, it's much harder for it to repeat itself because we should be learning from the mistakes of our past. But we don't. When something like this happens, you have to recognize what playbook. There are certain things that are always going to be a human playbook. It's a play. It's a play in a playbook that can be done over and over and over again. And you wait 10 years, nobody's seen it again. If you wait another 20 years, nobody has seen this play being done. But it's the same old plays they've been doing for centuries. This is World Domination 101. Anyways, thank you, Gladys Rodriguez. Thank you. There's a bunch of new members. I couldn't name them all, but thank you. I'm assuming somebody gifted out another set of badges. So thank you, and thank you. And then backlash in China against draft law banning items that harm, quote, national spirit. Proposed changes to a Chinese public security law to criminalize comments, clothing, or symbols that undermine the spirit or harm the feelings of the country have triggered the concern of legal experts who say the amendments could be used arbitrarily. It says the changes were first made public last week as part of a mandatory soliciting opinion process as concerns mount about the increasingly authoritarian and nationalistic rule of President Xi Jinping, like it hasn't been already. It says this week, several legal scholars and bloggers wrote editorials and social media posts calling for the removal of certain articles in the draft. It says who confirms the spirit of the Chinese nation and according to what procedure? Who recognizes the feelings of the Chinese nation and according to what procedures? Wrote Tong Ziwei, a constitutional studies scholar at the blah, blah, blah. It says if the NPC Standing Committee adopts the article as it is now drafted, law enforcement and judicial work will inevitably lead to practical consequences of arresting and convicting people according to the will of chief, and there will be endless harm. So if you wear something, a t-shirt that is offensive, if you wear a Winnie the Pooh t-shirt, you could be arrested. You better hope that these folks don't dominate the world. It says today they can prevent you from wearing certain clothes. Tomorrow they can prevent you from speaking. Then the day after they can prevent you from thinking, wrote one user on Weibo. Public Security Administration Punishment Law, the 2005, which mainly covers minor offenses, is being revised to make it more applicable to current social realities, the Global Times newspaper said, without giving details. These are the folks that are trying to take over the world. You better hope that they don't. Period. This is crazy, but it's exactly what we've been talking about for a very long time. They already have their social credit score. Imagine this. You say you wear something that isn't that bad, but it could lower your social credit score to the point where you can't take trains or you can't take buses, you can't take public transportation. That's the system they have there. You park your bike in the street, or if you jaywalk, your social credit score goes down. If your social credit score goes too far down, you can't travel publicly. You will not be allowed. Everything is tracked and traced. Your phone is connected to your social security number or your unique number. And again, they can target you like nobody else. It's crazy. Your car wants to know about your sex life. Man, what a nuts one. And remember to call us at 224-400-MARF. Again, we've got one line open, so you better get in there now. If you're afraid or you're scared to call, don't be. We've got John Thomas on deck. Thank you, a first-time caller. We're going to get him on in just a second. Car manufacturers are collecting troves of data on drivers and passengers, some even tracking drivers' sexual activity, according to a new report. It says in a review of 25 car brands and 15 car companies published by Mozilla Foundation on Wednesday, researchers found that Japanese car manufacturer Nissan said that it could sell information about drivers and passengers' sexual activity, intelligence, and health diagnosis to data brokers, law enforcement agencies, and other companies. German manufacturer Volkswagen said that it could record drivers' voices to profile them for targeted ads. And we were all the ones wearing the tinfoil hats. We just recently had something where they want to pass this thing, and I swear it was like by 2025 or 2026, 7, where they want to make every car that's manufactured by a certain date have a digital system that would be able to tell if you're drunk, and if you're drunk, it would not let you drive. How does it work? Well, you would have cameras or microphones in your car or something. It wouldn't have a blower, but they say they have other ways that are just as good. They can watch how many times you blink or do this or do that. And then they could shut your car down remotely and not let you drive. If people don't see why this is the most dystopian thing ever and that it should never be allowed to happen, again, I understand. I have lost somebody to a drunk driving accident. I get it. I am, again, I when I was 21, I did a DUI, which luckily did not hurt anybody. I just turned 21. I am one of the biggest persons to stand against DUI and drinking and driving. Now, I would rather walk 10 miles than even hop in a car because it was hell for 5-6 years after that. But I will say this. You cannot let something like that go into place. And what's happening with these laws and these things that are getting put into our thing, this is absolutely terrifying. It says the amount of data these car companies blatantly said that they could collect was shocking. Now remember, and they're saying it out loud, they're saying we could collect this, we could do targeted ads. say whatever color person you are, or if whatever your gender is. Heck, they could give you every 3 weeks, they could give you ads for feminine products. This is where it's going to get, where the radio is actually going to give you custom results. So your ads will be different than other people's. It will actually be targeted ads into your radio while you're driving to work. This is where it's headed. This is where the infrastructure is. And it's even going to get worse, because once they get this whole drunk driving thing in, it's going to be to the point where if the government decides they don't like you, or if somebody very, very important doesn't like you, they can make your life absolute hell. They can restrict travel. They could tweak things in your car. They could turn your car off, for gosh sakes. So what if you were accused wrongfully of a crime and you're trying to get away? Well, they could just turn you off. Turn off your car and make it so it doesn't work. Heck, somebody hacks it, a bad person or a bad country, they would be able to turn off all of the cars. In a matter of a couple decades, they're saying that we will most likely have all digitized cars that will be controlled and have this kind of function in it. So think about that. Somebody does a hack and closes down every car globally. Something crazy to think about. But how they can do this, I don't know. Why aren't people standing up? People need to just push back. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then Japan is full of UFO hotspots, and they all have this in common. So this is actually, I love that we get to lighten the mood for a second here. It says Japan has become one of the world's biggest, quote, hotspots to see a UFO, according to a newly declassified Pentagon documents spanning back to 1996. This new government information and simplified map, part of the Defense Department's freshly unveiled online unidentified anomalous phenomena reporting system, highlights southern Japan as one of the Earth's most popular regions where UFOs have been sighted. Since 2020, the Japanese military has also been instructed to take photos and record all that is inexplicable in the skies. Japan's most popular sighting areas throughout the island nation have one distinct commonality: a major nuclear incident. It says the map's hotspot includes greater regions around Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two cities where American forces detonated the atom bombs that ended World War II in 1945. Furthermore, another town in Fukushima Prefecture, famously known for its nuclear power plant meltdown brought on by a 2011 tsunami, has billed itself as the Roswell of Japan and the home of UFOs. I actually did not know this. Did you guys know that Japan was this crazy hotspot? I did not. It says the small and rural neighborhood of Lino has become tourist destination as its nearby pyramid-shaped Mount Singamori has been known for many UFO sightings, unexplained lights, and mysterious events. It says, like the American Southwest, another hotspot on the map, also famous for nuclear testing, Lino has leaned into the fame brought on by the phenomenon. The town has operated a UFO museum since 1992, in addition of a range of extraterrestrial sculptures and carvings. In 2021, a UFO lab was also opened in Fukushima City, and last year they released half a dozen images believed to be authentic extraterrestrial vessels. I had no idea about this. There's a Japanese Roswell. Didn't know that. Again, pretty interesting. What do you think? Let me know. And there's also this. This is pretty crazy. This is a map, and these are the UAP reporting trends. Now, Dex, you actually found some interesting stuff in this. If you can, I know you're going to be talking to either John or the next caller, but if you can, Dex, pop in on the UAP reporting trends.
Yeah, if you go down to like the last page as a zoom in of the map that's on the bottom corner of the first page, that's the map they're sort of referring to. And this is all coming from the government, DoD military site. So they show the hotspots. The other interesting is the hotspot right there in the Middle East. Obviously a hot area in the past. So those, if you look at it, East Coast, West Coast, Japan, maybe a little bit of the edge of China, and then that strip right there in the Middle East is what appears to be these hot spots, if you want to call them that, of the number of sightings and where they've been located.
So are these, like they said, the commonality is that there's nuclear incidents? Huh. So everybody has a theory.
Well, the commonality on that was in Japan. It's where they were nuclear incidents. I don't know that actually overlaps correctly with the rest of this. It could.
Well, because like Washington, we have a lot of crazy stuff. We have a nuclear plant. Is it nuclear plants? Like, because everybody also has this theory that if we have a nuclear disaster, like aliens are going to come down and stop it from happening, or if we end up launching nukes last second, aliens are going to come and knock it out of the air. There's been incidents where we launched certain kind of missile things and they had sabotage or this or that, and they've thought it was aliens. What do you guys think, though? This is kind of an interesting map. It's not very readable, though. What a horrible map.
Yeah,
can't really.
It's
tell.
not fine. There's not a lot of fine detail to it, but there's a couple other things that we skipped over. If you go back a couple of slides, with the airplanes on it, it's basically the altitudes of reported UAPs. And it's interesting to see where the majority of them lie in that like 15 to 25,000 foot range, which is also maybe up to 30,000, which is, also probably easier for, say, commercial air traffic and military air traffic to spot and see stuff at that range, which might be why we see more of it there, than say the 60,000 foot range or 100,000 foot range. So, but that it's interesting that they're putting out this data, so we get some. Also, I think the other report is the sizes or the shapes, like or I think it was, I don't know what that round chart was. It was something about, like, they talk about spheres in there, and they talk about sensor contacts and shapes and vectors, tic tacs, polygons, squares. So the percentages of how many sightings are these different types. So it's good to see they're putting this data out. I don't know how much we're going to believe it, and it goes back to 96 to 2023.
So the tic tac are actually like 0.1. 47% are round or a sphere. And then vector, what's a vector again? Is that like a usually I think of a vector as like a black and white thing. What do you call it? Shadow of something. What is a vector a shadow? Like a dark.
I'm thinking it's more like a straight line, but I could be wrong.
Huh. Why would they even put it? It says 0%. I get 0.0%?
It probably rounds down. There's probably something there, but not.
Oh,
0.
okay. I'm like 0%. Why even have it? I guess there was probably like one, but out of the thousands of things, if they can round down to 0%, that means that this is out of a lot of reports. That's pretty crazy. Ambiguous sensor contact. So a lot of the times they don't even see it, right? That's what that would mean, right? Ambiguous sensor contact, where they see it on radar, they see it, but they don't actually see it. I wonder. And then lights. Why couldn't they write lights in the triangle?
What's other? And why would that not fall into ambiguous? Like, what's the distinguishing? Like, is other, like, I don't know, it was shaped like Big Bird and they don't have a category for Big Bird?
It was shaped like a pizza man. I don't know. Like, what is other? Yeah. It was an Amazon truck in the sky. I don't know. That is pretty weird.
That's rectangle all day long. Come on.
Well, no, because it has a little part at the front. It would be a vector and a rectangle, and a cylinder.
You're right. We now have discovered other.
Wow, this is where your tax dollars are going. Yep. All right, and then we're gonna get our next caller, John Thomas. Give us a call at 2244-00 Marf. Again, that's 2244-006273. Get in right now. Dex is going to be free. Don't say you couldn't get through. We have line open. Before we do, make sure to go check out Energy. Again, if you have not seen their line of solar generators, this is a solar generator. So you can hook it up. You can actually charge it from your home. You can plug it in and charge it as a giant, giant battery bank that can run. You could run a fridge off it. You could charge it from the wall, or you can actually plug it into solar panels. That's the main use that you should be using it, because once you get solar panels, you put those out, you're going to get power for free. You get unlimited power as long as that sun comes up the next day, or even on a cloudy day, you will have power coming in. That is what's so cool about that. And then it stores and it's ready for whenever you need it. Again, this is an awesome, awesome thing. This is an expandable and modular solar generator. What that means is it literally plugs in like Lego. You can add the bricks, which are batteries, or the bricks that are mods. The mods can change the overall function of it. So you can add a UPS mod that turns it into an uninterrupted power supply mod that also rapid charges it. You can plug it into the wall and charge it at 1200 watts per hour. So essentially, you could charge one of the full 1000 watt hour bricks in about 40 minutes. Again, that's something that if you were one 1000 watt brick, it like I can run a lamp for 400 hours off of that. Or if I have a lamp and a TV and a radio plugged in, or even camp lights, I could run it for days. Right? It depends on what you plugged in. Things take different power consumption. If it's a light bulb, it's not going to take much. If it's a fridge, it's going to take a lot. Or if it's a microwave, it will take a lot at certain times. So you do the math and you really see. But this is the cool part. You can expand it over time. You can keep getting the bricks. This can be expanded up to 96 batteries. It's absolutely silent. And even when it's at full capacity, when you're fully just pumping it out and it's at full capacity and the fan goes on, you still would not be able to hear this from another room, let alone 3 blocks away like a gas-powered generator, which you have to have outside or in a contained area with air. Literally, this is something that, you can have in your living room, be powering all of your stuff, and nobody else is going to know you have power. Being a gray man in an SHTF situation is super important. I highly agree that if you have a gas-powered generator, don't get rid of it. But this is actually has its other pros, and again, not a lot of cons with this unit because it can be modded and altered in any way you need it to be. They now have the UPS rapid charger, so go check it out. Also, if you want the best of the best of the best, the U.S. Army is actually going to be shipping these. These are going to be shipping out to the U.S. Army. This is their new Energy Flex Tactical. This company directly worked with the Air Force Research Laboratory to design this. So if you want the best of the best, I would definitely go with the Flex Tactical. Built-in battery heaters for extreme colds, 1,500-pound latches, and of course a reinforced steel frame. These things can be used for regular, just any day stuff. If you're in construction, one thing I have used this a lot for is power tools. I've been able to take this in my truck and go, and I'm able to use my power tools wherever I need them. We've gone camping and used it for a projector and watching a movie out in the woods. For my family, we have done all sorts of cool stuff with this. Other than that, I've even brought it to charge all of our devices, tablets, and everything else. It's awesome. Also, if you do want to just get something that does charge like tablets and electronics, they actually have the LT, which is not pictured, but it's a smaller one about this big. And it's perfect for charging tablets, phones, laptops, things like that. And it actually can plug in directly to a solar panel. So once you get the solar panels and these, you can mod it however you want. All right, you guys, make sure to go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. That will support our independent channel, and you'll get a discount at the same time. All right, let's see here. John Thomas, you are live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Good evening, brother. I thank you for your time this evening. Can you hear me very well?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you perfect. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm glad you touched on the alien deal because that kind of ties into what I was wanting to share this evening. The salvation's on the way, brother. They're about to be attacked. That's what I was telling Dax in the back. God's been trying to warn us. Every time we do one of these events, something changes. We see Event 201 that John Hopkins held that. Now they're Johns Hopkins. We see they went into Kiev. Now they're Kyiv. We see everybody's under attack. United States, Russia, China, they're all in it. The Pope's titles changed from Pontificus Maximus to Pontifex. You were just mentioning Mao Zedong used to have a T in his name. Now it's Dung, and their religion is the Tao. I mean, it's on and on. And to me, what God's telling us is they've been in bed together. And I know it's probably controversial to talk about this, and people call it the Mandela effect, but one way you know they're all in it together is they done had a meeting not to talk about this Mandela effect. That's one way you know these people are in bed together. And if they've had a meeting to not talk about it, that means there's already a new world order. You know what I'm saying? They're keeping each other's secrets, just like Galen Windsor told us in the 80s. Galen Windsor taught us that nuclear energy was, he used to drink his reactor water when the EPA was trying to shut him down, and he would show him all sorts of things.
Hey, John.
But there was no Chernobyl. There was no.
I don't mean
Yes.
to interrupt
sir.
you, but there was actually two things that are on our list of things that will basically get our entire 2-hour stream labeled. They'll put a little thing underneath, and then it completely screws.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. Well, we have a substitution list that everybody understands that, they'll still get it, but we call it, it's I forget what the N and the W and the O. Everybody kind of knows, but what I'm saying is,
okay.
you know those labels they put under everybody now. You say it once, and the computer grabs that.
I was browsing. Yeah.
That's all right. I just want to let you know we have a list,
Sorry
and
about that.
there's a certain way it works. Space it out and say "and" or do something like that. Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Yes, sir. They're in it together, and they don't want to talk about these changes together. They're keeping each other's secrets, on and on. That's how we know that anything that they don't want repeated, they don't report on it. You don't see them talking about it unless it's a hit piece. But as far as these aliens, I'm going to go out there and say those are our demons, and our demons are our victims. And I want to ask you this, Brother Adam. We've heard that those people are talking to aliens, that BB's talking to aliens, Trump's talking to aliens. That might have been one of the words. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
But we've heard all this stuff. Let me ask you this. It's my opinion that that God's done told me that these people are being trolled by their demons. Why wouldn't those aliens, if they're that advanced, why couldn't they look up Marfoogle and say, look, Adam stands for, keeping people safe and, you know what I mean, and prepared and informed? How come the aliens didn't come see you? How come they didn't see me? Are they that socially inept that they don't know the crimes of these people? You see what I'm saying? So whoever these aliens are, and I'm going to say they're our demons, they're making fun of them. They're the ones about to be attacked. And I'm saying wait for the next big event and look for changes, and also look for everything to change back abruptly all at once. And we're going to see that these people didn't want order out of chaos. They wanted a planned, controlled chaos, and that's not chaos at all. And if they were about that, they would have talked about these changes, because God would have did their heavy lifting for them. But they're not. They don't want that at all. They're trying to control this implosion, and we're about to be attacked.
That's a good
my
way
guess for this evening.
A good way to describe it too. An implosion. It's kind of it's all falling apart.
And they want it. It's a scripted thing, a playbook, like you said. You know what I mean? People, and the way they do it through is the prophecies of the different religions. Because no one wants to believe, hey, I'm following a prophet that didn't, you know what I mean? They believe that prophecy is for predictions, not correction. You see what I mean? It's to tell me what the future is going to happen. But look at Jonah. Jonah prophesied that Nineveh would be overturned for 40 days. He used God's name. So when that didn't happen, Jonah became a false prophet, according to Moses. And everybody's cool with that. You know what I mean? They overturned. That the prophet was there for correction, not prediction. And the way they control us is they look at our prophecies, and then they use that as a playbook. Because if we see our prophecies are happening, we'll just lay down for it. We'll say, okay, they're fulfilling it. You know what I mean? That's how it's done.
Yes.
And I sure thank you for your time this evening. I really don't have nothing else to say. But wait for a big event, and then look around the place and the people surrounding it. Look for name changes. Look for all sorts of changes. And it's another warning from our God, and they're not listening. Thank you, brother.
Well, I agree that I think that it makes a lot of sense for a huge event that will pull us into the next step of this thing. A huge event will have to happen, and I'm not saying it. I hope it doesn't happen, but for us to go to the next stage, something massive has to happen. It's been kind of every few decades we've had this massive event, and I mean massive. 2001 was we had several big events, but that was a massive one that really changed everything. It allowed them to change everything too. So yeah, we're just kind of we're waiting for that, and I think that it's not something we're hoping for, but it's something that we know once we see everybody really needs to have their stuff together at that point already, because it's going to be too late if you try to start after that big event. Thank you, John Thomas, for calling in, and again, thank you for having the courage to call in. We don't first-time callers are welcome and encouraged, so don't be a stranger, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you so
Good
much.
evening.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye. That was John Thomas. I hope you guys get what I mean. Anybody that's old school Foogle fam totally understands what we mean by that. We have like a list of substitutions, or like room 201 is a good way to put that. But they'll literally do these stupid, like if you talk about the things that come out of the planes, that will give you a label. Heck, they've labeled us and we didn't even talk about a subject, and it highly affects suggesting to new people and all sorts of things. And then if you get enough in a row, they'll really start getting you. So thank you guys for being a part of that too. John says, wait for a big event. I think that kind of lines up with kind of what I've been saying. I think there's going to be a big event, and I think, or it would have to have a big event for us to go into something bigger. And then secret memo raises more questions about UFO shoot downs over Alaska and Canada. It says, following the shoot down of 3 unidentified objects in the 3 days over Alaska, the Yukon, and Lake Huron in February, and the downing of a Chinese spy balloon off the south of South Carolina, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau received a secret memo laying out how the Canadian government was responding to the February 11th Yukon incident. In addition, it stated the full exploitation of whatever the U.S. Air Force took down over the waters of Alaska on February 10th had not yet been completed. Reports a few days later stated that the U.S. had called off the search for wreckage of the downed object. Exactly what kind of intelligence exploitation is this referring to is unclear. It says the memorandum for the Prime Minister, transmitted February 14th, was obtained by CTV, Canadian News, from a source who filed the Freedom of Information Act. So this is something that they can confirm. The FOIA, they actually got this request. And it says that the news organization said that it verified with its own information request. According to the memo, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, numbered unknown objects sequentially to track every detected object that is not immediately identified. Upon cross-examination, most objects are found to be innocuous and do not need the higher threshold of higher reporting or engagement. However, the object the memo identified as UAP number 23, which is kind of weird. Everybody's talking about, 23 and then 923, meaning it was the 23rd unidentified radar track by NORAD over North America at that point in the year that was classified as a UAP, did rise to a higher level of concern given that it was taken down. The memo stated that, quote, the function, the method of propulsion, or affiliation to any nation state of the unidentified object taken down by U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptor on February 11th remains unverified, and it is unknown whether it poses armed threat or has intelligence collection capabilities. The memo also pointed out that the Canadian Air Force was leading an aviation search effort to find the downed object. There was scant hope that it would be found. The mountainous terrain, existing snow cover, and expected new snowfall make prospect of recovery highly unlikely. So there could be some sort of UFO sitting somewhere on underneath a snow cap, and when it melts off, somebody's going to find quite a surprise. What's trippy to me is that time period. If you remember, they expanded their results from radar, and they said after this balloon thing, all of a sudden for a week we were in this stupid circus saying that we saw another one. The F-22s reacted to this, and people are watching flight radar and they're seeing F-22s go here, go there, go there. What really happened that week? It wasn't all balloons. Was it all to distract from that first balloon and to give JB some credit for taking down other things? Like they took down a birthday balloon that says like, "Happy birthday, Chaz," "Happy birthday, Chaz neighborhood." Something like that. I don't know. But it's absolutely wild that we're even covering this kind of stuff, By the way, thank you, and thank you. Again, Dogebird. Look, UFO hunting people, please, for the love of God, it's 2023. Stop zooming in to the max and getting 144p, LOL. Huh? To the max and getting 144p, LOL. Huh. I don't know what you mean. This should be at 1080 at all times. So please, Dogebird, explain. Although you can't super chat it, you're going to stick your tongue out at China. It won't let you. That's funny. Dex, go ahead. I think he might be...
Cameras.
What was that?
He's talking about UFO hunters that take their cameras out and zoom to the max on their camera, so everything's pixelated and you can't really see it.
I thought he meant like, actually, I was thinking about it. If I go to a picture or something, if I do zoom in, if it's a bad picture, it might not translate. But, I get what you're saying. So, Dogebird, you're totally right. And when they take these, what was I showing? I think I showed something like that. Yeah. And because they zoom in so far, and I get what you mean, 144p, it's worse than 144p. It's like you see 4 pixels. It's just 4 square pixels that you see, and it's like, don't know what that is. And then people do negatives on it, and it's like you see negative colors of 4 pixels. It's not very easy to see. Go ahead, Dex.
Yeah, shouldn't you? You're the camera expert, but shouldn't you like stop at the maximum optical zoom?
Yeah.
Because the rest is digital, and you can do digital all you want on a computer with multiple different algorithms to enhance it however you want. Why rely on the one algorithm that's in your phone or in your camera?
Well, and then the cell phones that go 100x, that's crap. Zoom, you're not going to get a good image. But if you have an actual camera, that's what's crazy. That's why it's so rare to see a good zoomed picture. Because if you want to buy a zoom lens, like a 500 millimeter or a 600 millimeter lens, those can literally be $12,000 to $14,000 for a normal digital DSLR. Almost all of them are over 10 grand. And that's the one that zooms out. And that's not even that far for if you're looking at space stuff. They have those special cameras that are relatively affordable. They're like $1,000 or $2,000 that have a whatever it is, 60 optical zoom or 600 optical zoom. Those ones are good, but they also don't have the same quality as far as like the actual image, and they're just not the same. It would be cool. I don't know why technology has gone this far, but I guess it's because of how lenses work. But lenses like my 70 to 200, I don't think I have that. Inside, if you look in it, it has 22 very custom pieces of glass, and you don't see that, but there's 22 pieces of focal glass, and it's bouncing off of each one of them to zoom that far. So it's very expensive to make those lenses, but I'm just surprised lenses really haven't come down, especially ones like that zoom in really far. I think it would be cool though, because in our niche, there's constantly a place where people would, want to be able to zoom into something. But yeah, I think it's more the cell phone, Dogebird. It's the crappy cell phone cameras. Let me just make sure. And then over on DLive, thank you everybody that's popping in. Kelly2334, it's been a while to see you over on DLive. Thank you, Yobi. Scooby-Doo Right, one on B. We have Kimbria. We have Holiday Kisser, MC Dirty Work, and Karen from Columbus. Thank you, Beer Juice, for popping in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But again, Kelly2334, thank you, and thank you. Let's see here. Neil Nelson, Carolyn Kilsner, thank you. Bandy Bear, thank you. Let's see here. Thank you, Mimi. I appreciate that. Neil Nelson, again, thank you. Tammy Vasquez, Dottie, thank you. Steel Hauling, thank you. Carol, and Jay Lynn, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support today. And then Dex, actually, I was going to have you pop in before the show. You said some pretty interesting stuff about this. The dollar is set for the longest rally in years, with U.S. defying global gloom.
Well, I'm kind of skeptical on this because I'm not one of those people that's definitely in the camp that thinks, oh, the economy is all great and everything's coming back. But the numbers certainly, or at least the dollar's value has been holding pretty well, and it's actually, as they say, it's on its longest rally that it's seen in quite a long time. So whether or not, I guess the real question comes down to, do we believe that this is authentic, or do we believe that this is just yet another thing that's happening from what the Fed and others are doing to try to prop up the value of our dollar? And how much of this plays into, the fact that maybe when the big BRICS meeting happened, nothing came from that, but something did come from it. It's not a dollar competitor didn't come from it, but certainly other people joined. So that was, that was kind of a big deal. But then you've got, everybody reporting that China's economy is not doing so well. So, but the U.S. is doing better. So then again, that kind of supports and holds up the dollar. But I don't know, how much of this is a lot of the antics that we've done for decades now to prop up our dollar, as a lot of people like to say, or if this is really a good indicator. I think a lot of the economists are looking at it saying, well, we're just happy that the Fed's not going to be raising rates, but they're also not going to be dropping them. They're going to be holding them. So if they do that, that helps hold up the economy, holds up the value of the dollar, et cetera. So it's just an indicator. It's certainly a valuable indicator to a lot of people in the financial world and Wall Street. They pay attention to this kind of stuff. So it's worth talking about and thinking about and trying to see if we can connect any dots from this. But I think a lot of people probably are on the realm that, once we got rid of everything being gold backed, that there's a lot of shenanigans that go into making up the value of our dollar.
Yeah, and I watched a whole documentary, and I can't communicate half of what they said there. And as far as this documentary that talked about gold and how they could purposely screw with gold to screw with the currency, or screw with currency to screw with gold, or that they purposely hold gold back to make sure that it doesn't compete with the dollar. Dex, let's get our next caller in here. Real quick, I did want to remind you guys, make sure to go over and check out Harvest Rate, marfooglenews.com/freeze. If you haven't checked these out, you can freeze dry your own food, and it will be preserved for 25 years. If you're a gardener or somebody who makes your own food, then you can definitely utilize this. That's at marfooglenews.com/freeze. All right, we are running we've got limited time left, so we're going to get Jake on right now. Jake, you are live on Marfoogle News, and you've got some cool pictures here.
I do, and just a heads up, we're going to have another co-host. My son's very loud, but
that's all right. I got little ones too.
Yeah, I just.
All right.
Okay, good. I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to a few things that are up in the air, like as we speak. So this one, the photo that you have now, it's of originally it was unmarked, so it said no call sign, but it was a plane that took off from Vietnam, one of ours, and currently it's flying towards Hawaii. So that's really not a big deal. The reason why I took the picture was just to show an unmarked no call sign, because there's quite a few in the air right now, and also to show just north of it in the Dragon area, there's a large transport that is in the air, which I believe you actually have another picture of as well. That one is more interesting because of what else is in the sky. So currently, and I don't have a photo that I sent Dex, but I just saw on one of the flight radars that Japan's Air Force One, Japan's Air Force One is actually in the air right now. Interesting that you were just talking about Japan, but they're on the same kind of directionally. They're on the same flight path as one of the photos that I'm most curious about, the one that you have now. So this one shows an aircraft that took off. It's one of ours. This one's interesting because the icon shows just a normal kind of like Gulfstream, high executive transport. But now it's currently showing just generic, unmarked kind of icon. So they've changed the icon, and they also changed the heading and all of that stuff. But what it is, it's I have no idea what kind of plane it is, to be honest. Originally, a few of the people that I normally talk to when I see something like this, they said that it could be P8, Poseidon. But right now, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's something else as well. But currently, it's actually only, as we speak, I sent the link to Dex to show this aircraft specifically, but it's actually maybe 50 miles or so from the Dragon State.
So wait,
and it's
currently 39,000 feet.
This might fit into the leader. This might be cargo too, because like this. Do you remember? Were you watching when we talked about how Mike Minahan removed all of the physical identifying numbers off of the planes? Obviously, you can still track the planes.
I was.
But when you look at the plane, you won't be able to see what it looks like or the identifying numbers. I thought it's interesting that it doesn't have a photo on some of these. You get
right, and you're right. They've completely removed it, and right now on the ADSB exchange, which is typically what I go to, the plane that you have up now, it actually is still flying, and as I said, it's almost in Dragon airspace. This right here is actually the transport. The picture you're showing now is the transport over the Dragon airspace, which is owned by the Dragon country. And what I think is interesting too is the aircraft that. The one that you have, yes, this one here. Oh, the one that's over by the Dragon, that's ours, the aircraft. It actually has just went off radar. So it's no longer on the radar, but it was flying at 39,000 feet, so it definitely didn't land. But if you go on in the link that I sent Dex, it was showing that aircraft, but it no longer is in the air. So if you click on that link, it may not even pull up anything.
All right, is that the link of the ADBS flight path? Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me pull that up real quick.
And while you're doing that, I just want to let everyone know too that Air Force One is actually en route to the same. Right now, they're over London at 30,000 feet, so they're not stopping anytime soon. So Air Force One is currently on the way to somewhere in the area, and it looks like the link that you just opened up, it shows them directly. It shows our plane, the United States Air, typically Air Force, that was the last point that they showed up, but now it's not showing up on my radar at all. So right there, it drops off, and then you can't pull it up again.
Oh, weird.
But look how close they are to the Dragon, because it's like you see the dark line on the eastern side of the map. That's the Dragon country. So that's how close we're getting to them. And again, it's at 39,000 feet, so they're not landing anytime soon.
Maybe JB is going to meet his buddy. I don't know.
He's en route to Germany.
Well,
took off
not
at
Air Force
5:05.
One.
Yeah,
So-
he's en route to
Yeah.
Ramstein, Germany. He took off about 5:05 today, Eastern time.
So is this him?
So this is a completely different airplane. No, this is not him. If you're in ADSB right now, if you go all the way to the UK, so if you go west, you'll see Air Force One fixing to go over the strait in between England and France. So this is not Air Force One. This is something completely different.
Oh wow. Okay, so I wonder what the purpose. There's so many odd events happening in the sky with our military. It's getting ridiculous.
It is. So Air Force One is a Boeing 747, but it's called the command in the sky kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's another Boeing that could be used as a secondary Air Force One, if that makes sense. And that's currently off the coast of Italy. So as we speak, there are 2 command and control aircraft in Europe right now, and one of them has JB on it. The other one is just doing a secondary mission.
Well, don't they always have two? Don't they always have a decoy plane though too? What if
they do? But what's weird is on this one is that it's taken a completely different flight path than Germany. So this one is far south. So it wouldn't be a decoy for anyone because it's not taking the same flight path as JB did. JB's way north of this one.
That's wild. And when they do what if when they do these decoys, it makes it look like the president is going somewhere when in reality they're going somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing that we can tell in terms of just the civilian nature of looking at radar, the only way we can tell that it's Air Force One is if it explicitly says AF1 or no call sign. Typically when Air Force One is used, they use a no call sign nomenclature until they get closer to where they're going. So if it has just a generic, like for instance, this Boeing 747 over Italy, their call sign is Grim 99. So that's obviously not Air Force One, but it's still that same kind of aircraft that will do what AF1 does for the president. But it's just going a completely different way. And we still have the Japanese Air Force One and Air Force Two. So apparently it has both of them. Air Force One dropped off the radar. This Japanese Air Force Two is currently heading towards India, the same general direction that Air Force One for Japan was heading as well. So I guess their president and vice president are heading to Germany, I would assume, for the same summit. But anyway, I just figured I'd let everyone. What I was really more, I guess, curious about was the aircraft that was about to hit Chinese airspace, but now it's completely off radar. I have no idea where it is. It could have taken this huge, turn and just turned around and went back to where it was going, but no one will know until flight records show up and show that it landed.
That's so weird. And yeah, there's probably times like that where they pull the strings at the very top to hide what they're doing or to change things around. Well, very interesting stuff, Jake.
Absolutely.
We're going to post all of these pictures over on marfooglenews.com, and then we're also going to I think we can post that link. I don't think it will be the same though when they go look at it, will it? Yeah. Well, we'll
it
post.
Might not be, only because
they might update it.
Right, exactly. It might be updated to show that they're no longer flying.
Oh, well then even more reason for us to post it. And then we got to say hi to who's the little one back there? Is that I'm guessing 2?
His name
1.5?
Logan. No, he's 10 months old.
10 months old. Oh, so he's starting to chatter. He's starting to try to talk. Is he saying Is he saying words yet?
So far, he's saying "mama" and "dada," but that's about it.
Oh.
Right now, it's his bedtime, but he's too awake.
Oh, good luck with that. Well, say hi to Morgan, and he's got his 15 minutes of fame. So, all right. Well, thank you, Jake, and don't be a stranger.
Of course. And then, real quick, if I could just, am I able to plug in a channel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's just something I do for fun, but it's a friend of mine and we have a podcast that you can find on. We have a Twitter page, but we also have a Spotify, and it's called Two Dads at Night, the number 2 Dads at Night, and we talk about just conspiracy theories of what we like. I think our most recent one was on, or we're going to do one on the Hawaii Islands and everything that happened with that in terms of the flame. Yeah, that's the Twitter page right there. We're definitely fledgling, but it's a lot of fun. It gets us, researching and stuff like that.
Hey, that's how you start out, and then I'll pop up the Spotify here too. Let's see here. So yeah, so we'll send people over.
Texted one. Thank you.
Two Dads at Night. Awesome.
You have a show to close out.
Here we go. This is the Spotify, and it looks like you can listen on Apple Podcasts. So that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jake. And again, I hope some folks come over and check out your podcast, and just keep creating and keep putting them out and get them out whatever way you can, and on Facebook and wherever else, and respond to all the comments. That's a good way to build.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jake. And again, don't be a stranger.
Will do. Have a good night.
All right. You too. Have a good night, Jake. And good night, Morgan. Bye-bye. That was Jake and little Morgan. I feel the pain. Anytime I have my little guy, my son, he's now he's 3, but he for a while there I had the 2-year-old and the 1-year-old at the same time. It was like, if you try to make a call in this house, you are not. I've talked to Dex many times where it just has to just wait 10 minutes. It's like a train going by, only it's child babber. Dex, it looks like, did we switch over to jams?
You got about 120 seconds till the switch happens. So if any last words.
Okay, so make sure to go over to Marfoogle Jams for the rest of the story. This is really important. Sounds major alarm over concerning CV coming this winter as deaths soar. You guys know what's about to happen. Get yourself prepared. We're not going to stop the show. We're going to finish the shoutro and stuff, but it's going to switch you over to jams. So, but for those of you watching the replay, please pay attention and read this. Pause it on this screen. Boom, boom. Organization. And boom, boom. And understand, take it with a grain of salt, but realize that this is what they're shaping public awareness into. And they're reinstating, dude, I'm so not happy about this. My kids going, and if they do have to cover, it makes it so much worse for when everybody gets sick. It's so bad. Either way, we'll be talking about this, and we told you in January too. It looked like this was the long-term plan, and we even suggested it might even happen later. Somebody pointed out a show from a year ago, or from January, where we said specifically, oh, well, it looks like it took a break, because that was when the crematoriums and all of that was overrun in China, and then now it like paused, like something else happened, and they're like, we'll come back to it right before the very important time in 2024. So thank you, Dex, for running the phones. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Let's go over web only real quick, and keep in mind this is all going to be on jam, so maybe just hit a couple of them.